Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari. Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Janaballabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari.
Thank you so much, Mahapati Prabhu. If you can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Can you guys see the verse, or do we need to turn the lights? Okay. So this evening, we're going to do 2 verses, and I want to begin with this one. It's Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 6, Text 1. And this is the great devotee, Prahlāda Mahārāja, and he's speaking. Shri Prahlāda Vacha Kauma. Okay, we can chant together. Shri Prahlāda Vacha Kaumara Archarit Pragyo Dharman Bhagavatam Iha Durlabham Manusham Janma Tad Apyad Dhruvam Artadam. Okay. Translation. Prahlāda Mahārāja said, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use a human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagements. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary like other bodies, it is meaningful, because in human life one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of devotional service can give one complete perfection. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadammayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapara Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitamtam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusita Devi Pranamami Hare Priya Vancha Kalpa Tribhischa Kripa Sindhubi Evacha Patithanam Pavinabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Is today's first time here? Any new people? Hare Krishna, thank you for coming. I hope you guys have a wonderful time, and I hope you can learn something new here. Thank you for coming. So human beings are considered rational animals. According to the Padma Purana, there are 8,400,000 species of life. Aquatics, birds, insects, reptiles, and then finally the soul evolves to the consciousness of a human being. And why is the human form of life different or distinct from animal life? They say that an animal runs on 4 legs, and a human being runs on 4 wheels. Animals defend using claws and their teeth, but human beings defend using nuclear weapons and missiles. Animals, they eat on the go, while humans eat in restaurants. Animals mate in the wild, while human beings mate in the privacy of their apartment building or skyscrapers. And if we take away these concrete buildings, when we take away the technology and computers, and when we take away the so-called fine dining of life, Srila Prabhupada says it's nothing but a polished animal life. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These 4 is what we share with animals. But we think we're very sophisticated because we do it in a polished way. So what makes the human beings unique? So now I'd like to some interaction with you guys. Can someone raise their hand and give me maybe an idea? Why is the human being different from an animal? Someone has the mic? Okay.
Go for it. Hare Krishna. Because we can perform bhakti in human life.
You can tell he's a devotee, you know. Anyone else? Yes, Shila?
Sorry. We have self-awareness.
Okay.
We don't know that they don't, but we know that we do.
Okay.
That's what comes to my mind.
Thank you very much. Dravida-pu, you're going to be last. You're going to be last. I saw someone else raise their hand? Yes.
Yeah, human being can ask questions, inquire about.
Human beings can ask questions. Yes, ma'am.
Human being can differentiate between right and wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, they can differentiate between right and wrong.
Okay.
What's good, what's bad.
Human beings can differentiate between right and wrong, good and bad. Anyone else? These are all wonderful answers, by the way. There's no wrong answers.
Intelligence.
Intelligence.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Dravida-pu.
Human beings alone can perform dharma. Without dharma, they're just animals.
Wonderful. So you're all correct. So we can understand there's a difference between humans and animals. Develop consciousness and reasoning. And someone said, we can now make inquiries. We can now ask questions. And what are those questions? What should I get at Starbucks? Who am I? What is the meaning of life? Why is there suffering? What happens at the time of death? These questions, they indicate intelligence. A human being can utilize the higher thinking power to find solutions to the real problems of life. It's not traffic. It's birth, disease, old age, and death. These are the real problems of life. But no one is trying to stop these problems. Everyone's trying to fulfill their belly or fulfill their desires. Someone once used this analogy that human beings are creating sandcastles at the beach. They make a very nice, elaborate sandcastle. But what happens in the evening? The tide comes and washes it all away. So the tide represents death or time. Anyone who has sufficient, Srila Prabhupada would say, brain substance, they know we don't keep anything at the end of life. But yeah, there's this very strong conviction that I am going to bring my house. I will be able to bring my car. I will be able to bring my bank account. But we don't bring anything with us. And according to the Vedic literature, a human being who does not possess the ability to ask such important questions is considered to be a two-legged animal. I'm sorry if my class is heavy. I'm just repeating what I've heard. So please tolerate. Another important factor is when one reaches a human life, they can try to understand God. See, someone did not mention this, or maybe devotional service. But have you ever seen a church or a temple for dogs and cats? No. Before I moved into the temple, they had this show, and it was about marriages between dogs. Like, imagine how degraded or low of a consciousness people must have to be interested in such TV shows. Do you find any animals going for confession or asking the priest for blessings? They don't. You don't find that. Animal life mainly consists of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, the very basic instincts of survival. But all around the world, you'll find many religious organizations, temples, churches, mosques, synagogues. And what do you find in these buildings? Human beings. An animal is not interested in understanding the relationship with God. They're simply just trying to survive. And also in the human form of life, do we find greater responsibilities? A government or a court system that dispenses justice, punishment, law, and order. When an animal crosses the street with the stoplight, when the stoplight is red, it's not a big deal, isn't it? When we see a dog crossing the crosswalk, okay, it's an animal. But when a car crosses that red light, there's fines, suspension of driver's license, so many things. The human being has a much higher duty to perform also. One great devotee who was speaking, Prahlāda Mahārāja, he gives a very nice calculation. So all the geniuses or mathematicians here, I need your help. Okay? So Prahlāda Mahārāja, he says that human beings, we may live up to 100 years. So 100 years, okay? And he says half of that time is spent sleeping. So what is 100 minus 50? 50 years. And then Prahlāda Mahārāja says in childhood, we waste 10 years simply trying to develop our mental and function abilities. Learning to walk, learning to speak, learning to balance, 10 years is wasted. And then in adulthood, 10 years is wasted in frivolous activities, sports, things like that. And in old age, another 20 years is wasted. If one is invalid, they're not able to perform any material activities. So 10 plus 10 is 20, and another 20 is 40. So what was the amount? 10 years. 10 years to perfect this human form of life. But yet, 10 years goes by very fast. Those that are in old age, they can tell you how fast the time is spinning. And instead of spiritual growth, people chase and pursue temporary goals and achievements. This is another waste of time. So where's the time when one can actually strive for spiritual perfection? Hardly anyone is interested. Everyone is too busy chasing. I love this example. You don't find this in America, but you'll find it maybe in developing countries. There's a very lazy animal. It's a donkey. And before washing machines, they would actually load the donkey with heavy burdens of cloth on their back. And since the donkey's lazy, how do they convince the donkey to move? You see this in cartoons. They tie a stick on its back, and dangling from this stick is a carrot, a juicy carrot. And when the donkey takes one step forward, it doesn't know that the carrot also takes one step forward. So it chases and chases, and eventually it gets to the river, and then the washerman washes the cloth. And then to induce the donkey to go back, they tie another carrot. So similarly, human beings, we are being cheated. This carrot, it represents the material opulences that people are chasing. When the sages of Naimisharanya, when they were seeing the Iron Age of Kali, they concluded, Prayano Paishaha Sabya Kalawasmin Yugejana Manda Sumanda Matayo Manda Bhagya Hi Upadrutaha. They said in this Iron Age of Kali, men and women almost have but short lives. How old is your dad, Sureshwar? 90? 90. Does anyone else have a relative that's older than that? You? How is who is it?
My mother's mother is 93.
Mother's 90. Yes.
I have a sister that's 93.
93 years old. I used to work with elderly people, and one of my oldest patients was 106 years old. He lived through the Great Depression. And what was his state? He can barely stand. He needs to take medicine to digest his food. So old age is not happening. So they said that in this iron age of Kali, men almost always have but short lives. We don't even reach 100. And they are quarrelsome. Everyone's fighting with one another. Everyone has their own opinions, even when their opinions is merely speculation. They're lazy. And Srila Prabhupada says not only materially but spiritually lazy. And they're misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Mental health is a big problem right now. Loneliness, depression, all of that, anxiety. So, what chance do we have? Right. Srila Prabhupada, the founder of the Hare Krishna movement, he actually saw this. And he saw how misguided the Western civilization was. Huh? Haribo? Okay. So he saw how misguided the civilization in the West was. When he landed in New York City, all these skyscrapers, Statue of Liberty, do you know what he said? Dravida Prabhu, do you remember? It smells like dog stool. This is what he thought of the West. But yet people are looking to go to New York City. They want to go to this place or that place. So these are the qualities of this age, Kali Yuga. Misguided, lazy, unlucky, quarrelsome, and always disturbed. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna himself, came 500 years and to start this chanting of Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By chanting this mantra, everything can be achieved, but it requires sincerity. It requires surrender. We surrender to so many things, but when it comes to Krishna, we don't make time for him. I grew up here in the West. I didn't know who Krishna was. All I thought was go to church every Sunday, you know. And the purpose of religion is to get rid of your sins, and then you can go to Swarga Loka, heaven. Most people have this conception of religion. So my relationship with God, Krishna, was very far away. I didn't know God's name, I didn't know God's form, I didn't know his qualities. It was just some vague person. But yet, religion teaches to love this person. My cousin in the Philippines, she's the one that introduced me to Krishna consciousness. And I was asking her so many questions. And all of her answers were very profound. Not only did it make sense, but she was quoting scripture. Srila Prabhupada says a law or a attorney, they should know the law books. But if you're in the court of law and you use words like I think, I believe, in my opinion, there's no weight to it. But when you quote, in section 8, then you know what you're talking about. So similar to my cousin, she was quoting the scriptures. And I was so attracted by that, And then my cousin told me that the soul can have a loving relationship with God. There's 5 different rasas or relationships. And this made so much sense. And then she told me something very profound. She said that Krishna lives in our hearts. So when one can realize that there's no need to feel lonely. But when we lack God, we look for God's love in this material world. And the person that we're trying to love will not love us back equally, or we won't be fulfilled, because that relationship is also temporary. But the soul's relationship with Krishna is eternal. So intelligence means to cultivate that relationship. Okay, so the second half, I'm not going to leave you there, but one of the best ways helping people is by distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. These books, they contain all the answers to life. But there's a saying that the truth is not for all people, but for those that search it. So many people will reject these books. They won't even open these books. But when that fortunate soul opens up one of these pages, it's life-changing. And the devotees, they can attest to that. You know? So Srila Prabhupada, he was given a very important instruction by a spiritual master. He said, if you ever have money, print books. He could have given him any other instruction, but this was his instruction, to print books. Okay, so now we'll continue with the second half. Book distribution is one of my main services for the temple. This is actually the service that has kept me sane. Living with the brahmacharis, you know. I love the brahmacharis, but you know, when the soul is trapped in a male's body, there's so much, yeah. But I love the devotees. Dvijamani Prabhu, he asked me, what is the favorite thing that you like about, you know, being a devotee? And I said, the devotees themselves, association, you know. So now, we'll read from Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is in the 11th canto. So they also mention this human form of life.
Are you going to chant the Sanskrit?
Can you chant it for us, Dravida Prabhu?
I will. Thank you.
Okay.
Labdvastu durlabhamidam bahusambhavante manushyamata nityamabhihadira turnam yateta napaterunamittyavam niksheyasaya vishaya kalusabhataksyat.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. After many, many births and deaths, one achieves the rare human form of life, which, although temporary, affords one the opportunity to attain the highest perfection. Thus, a sober human being should quickly endeavor for the ultimate perfection of life, as long as his body, which is always subject to death, has not fallen down and died. After all, sense gratification is available even in the most abominable species of life, whereas Krishna consciousness is possible only for a human being. Purport. Material life essentially means repeated birth and death. Even the lowest forms of life, such as reptiles, insects, pigs, and dogs, have ample opportunity for sense gratification. Even ordinary houseflies have a busy sex life and thus multiply rapidly. Human life, however, enables one to understand the absolute truth and is therefore full of grave responsibility. Since the valuable human life is not eternal, we should do the needful to achieve the highest perfection, Krishna consciousness. Before death appears, we should seriously cultivate our real self-interest. One can experience Krishna consciousness in the association of devotees of the Lord. Without their association, one is in danger of being attracted to an impersonal conception of life, which causes one to fall away from devotional service to the absolute truth. Or, being discouraged by one's failure to understand the absolute truth, one may return to the false platform of sense gratification. In conclusion, human life is meant for cultivating Krishna consciousness under the guidance of the experienced, self-realized devotees of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada's books, they create a revolution in the heart. They're not ordinary books. You know, the devotees here, they're still reading Srila Prabhupada's books, whereas people may read a novel, some type of material knowledge, and then they read another book. But Srila Prabhupada's books are so deep. They're full of spiritual potency. And when one can understand that, their life is very fortunate. So for the last part, I included some photos of random people that I meet while distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. And you can see how happy they are, you know. Okay. Sorry, tapas? Okay. So this picture, it represents human society now. What are they chasing after? Happiness. When I don't want to embarrass Tapas, but when he saw this, he said, "That's me." You know. Maybe some of us can relate also to this picture. Okay, maybe we can dim the lights, please, if someone. Thank you for patiently waiting and listening as well. So I won't comment on every picture, but maybe the ones that I remember and have notes for. Okay, next. So this is my little setup. It's a book table and books on top. And some signs to indicate what am I distributing. So this is at the harbor. Who here has visited the Star of India? When I was in, I think, elementary school, we went on the ship. And I figured, you know, there's a bunch of people walking by. I'm sure one soul is interested. So this is one of the places that we set up. Next. This is in OB. Next, Tapas. This is in Balboa Park. This is during the December marathon, or what we call Prabhupada Marathon. In December, we go the extra mile to try to reach out to people. It's a nice setup, huh? Classy, it's not like... Next topic. So, His Grace Yumunapati Prabhu, it was his brilliant idea to include some prasadam. And the best way is lollipops, you know. There's a lot of kids at the park, you know, they go there for field trips. And one warning is don't leave it out like this. Kids, it'll be gone in like 1 minute, you know. Not only do kids take one, but they'll take a handful. But they get a little mercy from the devotees. Next, Tapas. You never know who you'll meet. This is a random person, and just by him walking, I saw this. It's a picture of Krishna, a peacock, and his flute. Devotees are everywhere. They just need to be cultivated. Next. I moved into the temple in 2020, and one of the first places that I went to was Ocean Beach, and I set up right in front of this liquor store. You would never think, but this is actually what inspired me. This little girl, she was by herself. I think her mom was in somewhere around the corner. And she said, what type of books are these? And I said, these books, they help you to be happy. And then I said, what do you like to do? And she said, I like to help my mom cook. So I gave her this book called Higher Tastes. It has a lot of the devotee ISKCON recipes. And she was looking at it. And then she said, I want to get this for my mom. And then she said, how much do you want for this book? And I said, whatever you can give. She reached into her pocket and she gave quarters. You know, it was very sweet, but that's when I realized, even as young as this, they want to do something for their parents. Next, tapas. You'll meet students. These are young students going to college. And one of the questions I ask them is, have you heard of stress? And they start laughing, you know. So I introduced chanting Hare Krishna on beads. And I told them how practical it is. And these two young people, they were asking a lot of questions, actually, intelligent questions. So they took the beads, and then I invited them to the Krishna lounge as well. Next, Thomas. This couple, they were curious about chanting. They said that they would see the devotees. They're from somewhere in Latin America. They said they would always see the devotees chanting, you know. And then I told them that there's two types of chanting. Loudly, congregation, and then there's silent, individual chanting. So they said, how do you do the meditative chanting? So I told them about japa beads. So they were so interested, and they said, we want to be happy like you guys. You know. Next, tapas. This Mataji here, her name is Nishida. And Srila Prabhupada says that the face is an index of the mind. And a lot of people look very unhappy. They're lost. They don't know what to do with their life. They don't even know what to pursue in life. So this nice Mataji, as you can see, she took many books, including the Bhagavad Gita. And at the end of our conversation, she said, this is exactly what I needed. You know. Next, Tapas. This Mataji, her name is Fran. And she had a dream of an Asian doctor. And this doctor told her that they put poison in her food in the form of meat. So I gave her the vegetarian book, Higher Taste. And then she said after that dream, she's been vegetarian for 30 plus years. So she understands the importance of a vegetarian diet. So she took books, she took beads, and then you can see how happy she is. Next, tapas. So this is an interesting couple. The man, he's from Romania. And the Mataji, she's from Ukraine. And she took Russian books. And then the man, he took Bhagavad Gita, Science of Self-Realization and Perfection of Yoga. And they asked this question, what is the easiest way of meditation? So I told them chanting on beads. And they loved the idea. So you can see him. He has the japa beads in his hand. Next, tapas. So this lady, Adrian, she's the younger one, and she has been the helper or assistant of the older one. Her name is Miriam. And it was her birthday, the younger one. So the elder Mataji, she sponsored her, she bought the books for her. And they were so happy. Look at their face. So book distribution is such a wonderful service. Not only are you helping others become closer to Krishna, but you can actually help them find real happiness. Not this temporary flickering happiness in this world. Next. So the man, the boy, he has met the devotees before, but he's never read Bhagavad Gita. So he got one, and then the two girls, they were saying, what are these? What we do is we display, I don't know if it's here, but we display the beads on the table. We mainly distribute the books, but if they're interested in the beads, we'll tell them about it. So the boy, he took Bhagavad Gita, And then the two girls, they wanted to start chanting Hare Krishna. Next tapas. You meet all sorts of people, different age groups, different ethnicities, different statuses of life. So one of the ladies, she was chanting Hare Krishna when she saw me. I guess she knew a little bit of the devotees. And then she said, I want to try these beads. So she took a japa bead. And then while she was walking away, both of them were chanting Hare Krishna. And the one with the beads, she was chanting on her bead actually. Next tapas. So this son and mother, they're from Colorado. And the boy, he was asking questions like, why is there suffering in this world? And then the mom looked at the boy like, you never asked this question before. So I told him, do you like the Beatles? And he said, I love the Beatles. So you can see here, she's holding up a book called Chant Be Happy. And that's John Lennon and George Harrison, their experience with mantra meditation. So I told him that you'll find the answers in these books. And he was so excited. And I told him you should also give this book a chance. I don't know if you can see, but they also took the Bhagavad Gita. Westerners, they have no idea about Vedic culture or Krishna. They're open-minded. They're being open to learning more. Next tapas. This Mataji, I forgot her name, but she said that her parents named her after a Sanskrit word. And that Sanskrit word, it meant devotion. Amazing, huh? I think she's from somewhere in Europe. But even her name has, it's tied with Vedic culture. Next tapas. This is a person that we met at UCSD. He's from, Middle Eastern background. But he was so interested in trying chanting Hare Krishna. And look at his face, these pictures, they bring a natural happiness, Next tapas. This young man, he didn't speak a word of English. But when he saw the beads, he thought of the rosary. And I told him that there's 108 beads. And his family members, they were translating this to him. And then his family members told him the importance of chanting the holy names of God. And he was very pious, and he said he wanted to try it. So we chanted together, So he's on his way. Next tapas. So we'll just go over. I don't want to take too much time. Next tapas. Next. Look at these people. You would not expect them to get books or beads, right? Just ordinary people. And then they meet a devotee and their whole life changes. Next tapas. This elderly Mataji, she was very humble. Usually when someone is in old age, they're very puffed up. They don't care to listen to young people, right? But she got on her knees and she was listening to the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Next tapas. This family, they're a very unique family. They're homeschooled. And when I asked the mother, why are they homeschooled? She said she didn't like the modern educational system. She didn't like what the public schools taught. And I said, what do you teach them? And she said, I teach them how to be human beings. Manners, like what Mataji said. To understand what is right from wrong. Next tapas. Next. Next. See, another lady from a different background. She's willing to read the Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada never made a distinction where they're from, what country they're from. He saw them as who they were, a spirit soul. So behind these coverings of a male body or a female body or this or that, we're the eternal soul, part and parcels of Krishna. Next up is. This family, as you can see, the son has cancer. So it's very hard for them to deal with this disease. And so I said, can you read something for me? And I asked him to read a verse in the Bhagavad Gita. How the soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, burned by fire, moistened by water, withered by the wind. And I said that the soul is eternal. And this little one, his soul will continue even after the body perishes. And they got very emotional. Next, Tapas. This lady, she's actually a doctor. Look at her, all happy. So she took the sets of books, Asha Mataji and Sri Radha Mataji. Their service is wrapping these books, and they contain like 3-4 books, and all the essential books that one needs for spiritual growth. Next, Tapas. You think they would get books? No way, right? But they did get books. This couple, let me see. They're from LA. They took books and japa beads. She was a nurse, and then the gentleman, he was an engineer. And they came all the way to San Diego. And after our conversation, the man said, "This is the best thing that has happened to me." It was actually his birthday. Yeah. So when you speak to people, there's a saying that people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. So the devotees, we're not trying to sell them or take money from them. We want to give them something worthwhile. Next, Tapas. Next. Look at him. His thumbs up, Next, Tapas. Imunipati Prabhu, he also met this young man here. Let me see if I can find it. So anyway, this young man, he's like one step away from becoming a devotee. He's very interested in spiritual life. He's read Bhagavad Gita, but we gave him Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. And he says he's already chanting mantras, but he's not chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So now he has an opportunity to make further advancement. Next, Tapas. This is another couple, Usually people, by their external appearance, they may not try to get them to take a book. But we shouldn't make such distinctions. This couple is from Arizona, and they were interested in meditation and spiritual practices. And they wanted a more tangible way of meditation. So I told them of chanting on beads. And I said, you don't have to focus on some void or some impersonal light, You can just chant these holy names. And they left with a good impression. Next, Tapas. Next. Next. This young man, he used to be Buddhist. And then he said he got caught up in material life, working, this and that. And then when he saw me, and he saw the beads, he said, I want to go back to my spiritual practices. And the first thing he did was put the beads on his neck. We chanted together also. Next, Tapas. Next. 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 I'm sorry if they're all Matajis. It's not, I did it on purpose, But a lot of people, they're interested, and most of them are in the female body. Next, Tapas. Next. So at first, the man, for some reason, he was trying to avoid me, you know. So I asked them, "Are you two best friends?" You know, and they, what? You know. So I said, "We're a couple." I said, "Oh, I knew it," you know. So I called him over, and then the girl, she was asking questions, and one of them was, "What is the meaning of life?" So this book, 4 questions, and the first one of those questions is, "What is the meaning of life?" And I said, "Did you read this book yet?" And she said, "No." And I said, "This is for you." And she read the other questions, you know, "How can I be of service?" Things like that. So they took books, and he also was interested in another book called Hiding in Unnatural Happiness. That book itself, the title, it speaks so much gravity. Next, help us. We showed this in the last slide. They took books, and I asked them, "Can I take a picture of you two?" Encourages the other monks at the temple. And they said, "Under one condition, you have to be in the picture with us." So we took a selfie. You know. I think this was my first time after my spiritual master and I, we got back from, I think, Singapore, Burma, or Myanmar, and India. This was the first picture that I took. Next, tapas. Look at this young man here. Look at him, like, who, you know? But he took beads. He was interested in chanting. Next, tapas. Next. 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 I'll go back. Tapas. Sorry. I always remember this mother and daughter. We met them at UCSD. The daughter was just barely starting school there, so they were, you know, trying to figure out where her classes were. In the beginning, they weren't so interested, and then they came back an hour later after they got situated. And then they said, "Can you tell us more about these books?" And I said, "If I were to ask you, who are you, how would you answer that?" And this question just stumped them. They didn't know. And I told them, "You're going to school, you're studying math, you're studying engineering, you're studying philosophy, this and that. But the most important questions, you know, you're not asking." So this caught the mother's attention. And then I told her, this is real education, to understand who we are and what is the goal of life. So the mother got books for her as well as herself. Next, tapas. Next. 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 This young man, he was in the military, Marines. You look at him. He looks very... I'm almost going to end, Mukunda. Okay. And he said, "I'm practicing Buddhism." He said, "Let me show you." He took off his beanie and he had a shaved head, you know. And he also gave a thumbs up. You know. So meeting such people, not only are they inspiring, but we inspire them also to be their best. Next, tapas. This man, he went through a lot. He was able to overcome drug addiction. He's gone through so many housings, and you can tell by his face. You know. So when I met this person, I told him that happiness doesn't depend on external things. It's an inside job, inner happiness and inner peace. And he said, "I truly believe that." So he took books and he wanted to try chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Next, tapas. This Mataji, her name is Sneha. And there's an interesting story. So she's from India, of course, and she knows about ISKCON. After taking the books, she asked, "Are these the same types of beads that devotees chant on?" Because she knows the devotees chant. And I said, "Yes." And she said, "I want one myself." So she took the beads, and then she and I chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra a few rounds, like maybe 5 times. And then she said, I feel better already. And I used Vijay Prabhu's line, or maybe it's someone else. He says, this is the happy mantra, just by chanting. Next, tapas. Next. This young couple, they were such nice people, and they wanted to learn more about Krishna, actually. As you can see, she has a Bhagavad Gita. And I wanted to give them another book, and I didn't have another Spanish book. And Dvijamani Prabhu, he was on the other hallway, so I ran, I told him, Prabhu, give me one Spanish book. So they got a few books in Spanish. And their questions were very nice, actually, Next, tapas. This is a family that I met. They're from San Francisco. And maybe you can't tell, but they're twins. And whenever I meet twins, it reminds me that I'm a twin also. I forget, But they're of Hawaiian, Filipino, and Mexican descent. So they're both starting college. And I told them that Raja Vidya, Raja Guyam, Pavitram, that this is the king of knowledge, these books. So the mom, she was very inquisitive. So she said, I want to give these books to both of you as a present. So the mom bought books for them, and they also chose their own books. And not only that, but I only had one set left. So the mother, she wanted to take japa beads. Next, tapas. Next. 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 There's so many stories, but we don't have time, so I'm sorry. Next, tapas. This family, where are they? Okay. They're from Ukraine, and they came to my table, and they were already practicing spirituality. So it was very easy to get them to take Srila Prabhupada's books. But they appreciated the service that I was doing, and they also took japa beads. And as you can see, all of them has, what do you call it? Rudraksha beads? Huh? Okay, yeah, that. And they're all displaying it, But now they're going to be chanting Hare Krishna. Next, tapas. So this is another interesting family. They're from Africa. And each of them, they took a stack of books, Hiding in Unnatural Happiness, 4 questions. And the one holding the bead, he was the eldest brother. And I only had one set of beads left, so he took it. But see, the mother, although she didn't fully understand English, she was trying to understand the message in the books. And I told them, please translate to your mother. These books are very important. Next, tapas. Next. Next. This Mataji, maybe I'll tell it another time. But she was a very unique person, Next, tapas. Next. 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 This is in Hawaii, Honolulu. We were doing Harinam, and I wanted to do some book distribution. So the mother and daughter, they were both Christian. But when I told them that religion means to love and to understand God, and I told them this is a very basic understanding of religion. So religion should transcend these barriers. And then the daughter, she really appreciated that. So I made these little stacks, I think there's like 7 books. And they took a stack, they gave a really nice donation, and then they're on their way. Even in Hawaii, where people are trying to enjoy, they know there's something wrong. Next, tapas. Next. Next. So now these are some pictures of my Sankirtan partners. This is Dvijamani Prabhu and Chad, Bhakti Chad. This is in Southwestern College. Yeah. And they're trying to distribute books to people, students, faculty members. Next. This is our Bhakta Matthias. He stayed in the ashram for a few months.
Like 6 months.
6 months. And he went on book distribution too. Next. 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 That's all? Okay. So that's all. We would like to really ask if you guys would like to help us, maybe by sponsoring books. We meet also people that may not have the funds or money to buy a book, but they're interested. So if you would like to give a donation to help them, we appreciate it. You get really good benefit, spiritual benefit, and you can help to change others as well. Okay, thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Govardhan. So we're going to have a little more